Yeah, Stacy. Man, we've got a lot of time zones here represented. Mark Hill's here. So
Dubai. It's crazy.
Good. Hey, Val's in the house. We've got Mark Hill. We've got Gary Wood. We've got
Wonder Val.
Stacy Dean has got the Stacy.
Yes, we're hanging.
Who's your friend?
That's Riot.
Oh, love it. Absolutely
love that.
He's hanging out with me today.
We've got Nigel. Nigel's coming across the pond.
Yep, I'm all the way from South Wales.
So,
good to see you all. Hi, Val. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Nigel. So
Nigel,
good to
how
see
are
you.
I'm just talking about, I think the Six Nations are going on right now. Are they not, Nigel? Is that correct? And
I prefer not to talk about it. Thank you.
Oh, no. Is it bad? All right. Sorry. I hit a nerve. Okay. I'm talking rugby. For you guys wondering, I'm talking a little rugby.
With a strange shaped ball. That's all I can say.
Okay. All right. I won't bring that up again. So we got
carry on. I don't mind.
Carry on. All right. So we've got Alaska all the way to Wales. We've got Gary Wood in Rochester. We've got Mark Hill, Chicago. We've got Val here, and I'm going to give it another minute just to see anybody else. I know everybody gets busy. We had good signups, but maybe everybody's busy today. But as we get started, guys, if you want to drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat, be a great opportunity to connect with everybody here. And we'll give it one more. I got a couple more people popping in here. We've got Megan. Megan, happy Tuesday. We've got Ashley popping in. And you know what? I want to be mindful of everybody's time that, got here, and we'll go ahead and get started. So guys, happy Tuesday, man. This is super exciting. This is a thrill, honor. Usually, Nicole, I lose my voice after a program, but I'm so excited for D3 that I lost my voice before. Val, you know how that goes, so you know how excited I get. So, all right, let me share my screen and let me get back to the beginning here. And can you guys see that? We'll go slideshow. How's that? Thumbs up. You guys can see that screen. So, all right, guys. Well, happy Tuesday. Again, welcome. Thank you for joining us here today. We would love to make this interactive. We want this as fruitful, beneficial to you as possible. Man, I have literally like a Hall of Fame lineup. Like this, these aren't even all-stars. I have a Hall of Fame lineup. I'm not sure my pacemaker is going to make it through this program today, Allison. I'm not 100% sure. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Deeply appreciate it. Know how busy you are. Thank you for taking the time to join us. So we're going to go around the horn, and I'm starting with my dear friend, Allison, out in sunny California. Allison, good morning to you on the West Coast. Could you give a little shout out? Tell us who you are, this manufacturing masters, felt marketing. What's going on in your world?
Well, thanks for having me. I love you dearly. This is going to be a lot of fun. I wear a couple of capes. I'm the founder of Felt Marketing for Manufacturers, full service agency, and also Manufacturing Masters. It's a new on-demand platform for manufacturers. Instead of entertainment, it's training and best practices all the time. And I'm an expert on the platform, and also I work with MEPs to bring them aboard.
Probably. Okay. Well, Allison, thank you for joining us. And man, guys, if you haven't caught Allison, she's, you guys know we have our LinkedIn Live show. She's probably our most frequent guest and does an amazing job. And so you want to check those out. But Allison, thank you for joining us. We have a ton to cover today. How about my dear friend Wesleyne coming to us live? What a trooper she is. She just lost her power a little while ago. She goes to her employee's house. Wesleyne, can you give a shout out, give a little hello, and how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm Wesleyne. I am based in Houston, Texas. I'm the founder and CEO of Transform Sales, where we focus on leadership-centric sales training. So we believe that if leaders are not invested and involved, then nothing's going to change. And I am a recovering chemist. So that is a bit about me.
Okay. And so if you guys, maybe in the past, I think many of you have caught Wesleyne. We do tons of webinars together. We did our cohorts last year together. So I know Stacy, Gary, Mark Hill. I think many of you guys know Wesleyne. You know, she's an absolute rock star. So let's keep this party rolling. Now, man, look at all these time zones. We have Nicole coming to us live from the suburbs of DC, Nicole Donnelly. Happy Tuesday to you. Can you just share a little bit about what's going on in your world? How do you make the world a better place from your perspective?
How do I make that's a big question. Sheesh, how do I make the world a better place? Well, first of all, I have to tell you, I'm from Southern California, so I know Costa Mesa very well. I grew up there and I'm a former West Coaster, but I feel like the California will never, I'm always going to be a California girl at heart. So I'm the founder of DMG Digital, and we are so passionate about helping manufacturers, especially small USA manufacturers, be successful. One of my loves is just like helping those Davids fight off the big Goliaths. So we do that through content marketing, and we help those really gun shy manufacturers get excited about starting to publish and put out content and thought leadership. So that's a little bit about me. I'm a mom of 2 girls, and that's me.
Awesome. Well, Nicole, thank you for joining us today. And again, guys, I know we've got some other folks popping in here. My friend Ashley's here. Melinda, thank you for joining us. Amanda's here today from Sagamon, a bunch of manufacturers out in Illinois and Indiana. We've got, who else? I saw Andy, I think, joined here. John Baglino's popping in. So again, guys, drop your LinkedIn, drop your website. If we were all together in person, we'd be shaking hands, we'd be high-fiving. So drop your LinkedIn in the chat box. But we're here today to talk about Soulmates, man. I thought we were talking about business, Wesleyne. So we're here to discover your ideal customer. On our workshops, we like to call them soulmates. So how about a show of hands? Is everybody ready to discover your soulmates? Can we see a show of hands? Everybody fired up? Let's get super. Heck yeah, we are. Okay. Wesleyne, my friend, you are posting daily. Guys, you need to connect with Wesleyne on LinkedIn. Do yourself a favor. You will thank me later. You are just relentless you are a go-giver. You hashtag Wesleyne Wisdom. Wesleyne, my first question topic that I would love boy, you are the queen of this right here. Could you what's going on this slide right here, please?
So often we get super excited and we like to dilute our message, and we speak to everyone. We're like, well, everyone can buy my product. Everyone needs it. It's so amazing. But when you speak to everyone, what you're doing is you're really nothing to no one. So no one really knows what you sell, who you're talking to. Is this product for me? Is it for my friend, or is it for my neighbor? So you have to be really laser focused. And remember, if you're everything to everyone, you're nothing to no one.
Perfect. Okay. And Wesleyne, let's keep it rolling here. All right. How about, this is one of your favorite lines of all time. Can you please share what's going on in this line when we're trying to discover that ideal buyer, that soulmate? Please share with the folks your tagline here.
You want to be the big bad wolf in the teeniest, tiniest little market that you can find. So for me, I'm a recovering chemist. I talk to a lot of people in manufacturing and the chemical industries, but people are like, oh, so if you're really good in that thing, then you can help me over here with my insurance agency. You can help me over here with my real estate company. So when you really get laser focused on figuring out what that is, you want to be the big fish in the tiniest pond. So what is the tiniest pond that you can make a splash in? Because that's where you really start converting and making money.
Absolutely love it. And so a couple more friends just joined us. Doug, Robin from Mid-Atlantic Tax. So Robin, thank you for joining us. Again, drop your LinkedIn, drop your website. Great opportunity to connect with folks here. Today, we're talking about buyer personas. I have 3 Hall of Famers on stage here. Wesleyne was just dropping some golden nuggets on how you want to, the riches are in the niches. We call it niche down till it hurts. Nicole, my friend, let's get in the game here. When we're talking about that online presence, your website, your social media, LinkedIn, that's your first line of defense.
All right, thank you.
Why is it so important to have those date traits that attract those soulmates on your online presence?
Yes, because you want to make sure that your messaging that you're using on your website is speaking specifically to that ideal customer, their needs, their wants, their challenges. And you want to be thinking about wherever you're showing up online, that you're really speaking to that ideal customer and their pain points specifically. So, yeah.
All right. So let's take it one step further. How about core strengths? Okay. So I know when we're talking, let's get real deep here. We're talking manufacturers. Okay. So a lot of times when manufacturers, like to Nicole's point, we say like, hey, I bend metal, I cut steel, I make circuit boards, I do CNC, very broad terms, which in the past might have been acceptable. You know, we go to a trade show or sales reps on the road and we do a little bit of everything. We try to be everything to everyone, but we really, what online from an SEO standpoint, e-commerce, LinkedIn, your digital presence, we really want to niche down. Why is it so important to talk about those core strengths?
Yeah, that's a great question, Curt. You really want to make sure that you're focusing in on those core problems, challenges that you're solving for that particular customer, you know, and really focusing on how your unique qualities are going to help them solve their problem better, easier, faster.
Absolutely. So again, guys, if you just joined us, drop your LinkedIn and not only in the chat, but also we want to make this super interactive. Please pause us, stop us at any given time. Drop a comment in the chat box. And I'm Nicole, you watching the chat box? Keep an eye on the chat box. And so if you guys have any questions whatsoever, but let's dig in here for a minute. Now, Allison, my friend, you taught me a great line many years ago. And so if you guys have come to our webinars, workshops, you've probably seen this little goofy trivia question, but does anybody know the answer to this trivia question? What is every person's favorite radio station? Do we have an answer out there? Does anybody have an answer for us? What is every person's favorite radio station? Does anybody know that answer? Does anybody have the Jeopardy music that we can play real quick here? Allison, what is every person's favorite radio station? Can you WIIFM? Can you what is this? Can you talk about this, please?
Right. Well, you have to say it like a radio announcer. So it's WWIFM. Thanks for tuning in. But that's what everybody cares about, right? Is what's in it for me. So people don't care. I tell clients this constantly. People don't care about you. They don't care about your new website. They don't care about your new product. They want to know what's in it for me and why should I buy this thing? That's number two. And why should I buy it from you? So you want to make sure that any content or any marketing messaging answers those three questions, because that's how you're going to connect to the heart of your ideal customer faster.
Absolutely. I think, was it Zig Ziglar, taught, what does everybody think about all day, every day? Themselves, right? So again, we're talking to we have some amazing manufacturers on the call here today. Again, I see guys are dropping their LinkedIn in the chat. We've got Andrew, Gary, John Baglino, Megan's here today. Melinda's here. So guys, thank you for joining us here today. But Allison, what you taught me was something really powerful here. Can you just take this another step further? What is WIFT? How do you pronounce this? WIFT?
WIFT, right? So what's in it for them? And so many times as a manufacturer, we get all excited about what we do and what our products are and our own history and our building and our fleet of trucks, et cetera. And what I like to tell people is and I know we're going to talk about this a little more later, but you've got to flip the script and you've got to lead with what's the solution, not, hey, we've got a new Benford 5000. It's going to, rock your world. How's it going to rock my world? That's what's going to get my attention, is if you connect that emotional connection, because it's proven that 85% of the time, people make buying decisions based on emotion, not rationale. So connect emotionally first, then back it up with rational benefits.
Perfect. So, and Alice, I'm putting you right on the hot seat. So I took your WIFT. And so since we're talking about Soulmates, I call it Wi-Fi's, maybe you pronounce it Wi-Fi's in California, tomato, but I call it what's in it for your Soulmates. So, and I'm going to the godmother of this term, Wesleyne, I know you and I've used this term many times. Nicole, we've used this term, but I have to give credit where credit's due. But we're all going to talk about this for a second. So Allison, I'm coming at you. You introduced this term to me. I'm giving you full credit, full disclosure. This is an Allison DeFord line. Allison, first time on stage with you. What an honor, what a privilege to ask you finally once and for all, what is the wee-wee syndrome?
It's a debilitating disease that affects so many manufacturers today and has for quite some time. I have had it myself. I'm a recovering wee-wee addict. And I think what's become very clear in our work is when you're leading with like let me back up for a second. Do you do a 5-second speed test on your website? What does that mean? Take a look and just start counting how many times you see the word we. I guarantee you're leading with, we do this, we sell this, we're awesome, we won an award, we've been around for 159,000 years, we're family. It's all about you. And it's such an easy mistake to make. And like I say, I'm not pointing fingers because I've done it too. And once you realize it will, you can self-correct no matter what kind of content you're creating. And you want to make sure that your brand is for and about and to be of service to the people that will care. So flip the script, change we to you. I don't care if it's a social media post. I don't care if it's an ad. I don't care what it is on, any content on your website. You've got to flip the script and you've got to make it about them first. You're second. They don't care about you.
Absolutely. Wesleyne, how about, can you take the torch here? Just share a little bit of your perspective. You are a sales guru. If you guys popped in late and you missed Wesleyne's introduction, she's a recovering chemist. She has traveled the worldwide helping folks on sales. And she just is such a booming extrovert. Her calling, her passion is helping manufacturers figure out this whole sales process. Wesleyne, your takeaway on the wee-wee syndrome.
So the biggest issue with the wee-wee syndrome is it starts on your website. It starts with your marketing. But then when your salespeople get in front of people, this is what they say too. And so they're like, but I don't really actually care about you. And we care about our problems and we care about what the problem is for us. And so if you start at the beginning of the process and the beginning, the top of the marketing funnel with what you're saying on your website, how you're showing up on social media, and that translates throughout the sales and marketing organization, you are more customer focused, which is what we have to be, because absolutely, positively, no one cares about you. Like, they really don't. They just care about their problems. They care about their challenges, and they care about how you're going to help them overcome those problems and challenges.
Absolutely. I love that. And hey, John Baglino, God bless you, brother. He's been wee-wee free since April 2022. And we can give big thanks to Allison, DeFord, Wesleyne, and Nicole for that, of course. So, all right, let's keep this rolling. Nicole, you bought me a phenomenal book by the gentleman, John Maxwell. For any John Maxwell fans, the guy's written 189 books, whatever, New York Times bestseller. And he says these 3 things as when somebody lands on your website, meets you for the first time, these are the 3 questions that they're going to ask in order, can I buy from you? Nicole, can you just talk a little bit about these 3 questions and how it's so important from that marketing message? You call it smarketing. Can you take it from there for me?
Yes, absolutely. Do you care? Can you help me? And can I trust you? So one of the things that's really important is to make sure you're getting alignment between your sales and your marketing departments and really involving them in the building out of your buyer personas and of that customer journey process, right? So you want to be talking to your salespeople and asking them, what are the top questions that customers are coming to us and asking us over and over again? Let's talk about that. And let's make sure that we're answering those questions on our website so that when they hit our website, we're addressing those top pain points that we hear over and over and over again. And I think as marketers too, I think it's really important that you not only sit in on those sales calls or, you're hearing directly from your customers, but to understand who your buyer is, you want to have conversations with them, even separate from sales calls, and really take the time to ask them some of these questions. What do they care about? What is keeping them up at night? What are the words that they use to describe your company? What are things that you can be doing better as an organization? Like, taking the time to really ask them those questions is really going to help you when you're building out your website content and everything. Really nail it so that you're really speaking to them and your products and services are answering their problems.
Yeah, I love that. And just let that sink in and resonate. Do you care? If you're coming in with a wee-wee syndrome, right off the bat, you probably broke that first rule, right? Can you help me? Do you honestly have the experience, the expertise, the bandwidth? And number 3, can I trust you? So let's dig into this, Wesleyne, my dear friend. Guys, all right, first off, before I'm not a young guy anymore. So when something hits my mind, I got to spit it out because it like comes and goes. These 3, you need to follow these 3 on LinkedIn, please. Wesleyne posts on a daily basis. Allison has hands down the best newsletter in the industry. And I'm not just saying that. And Nicole, you put out phenomenal. Yeah. It's like bow down and worship Allison's newsletter. And Nicole, you put out great, wonderful posts. Wesleyne, you're man, dude, I don't know how you do it. Like, you are relentless online videos. You had a great message. Today that you just put out. I have it in the presentation. I'm going to show it later. But this slide right here just really kind of sums it up. Can you just take it home for us here on this slide on how you build that trust from an online perspective?
So you want, again, when we talk about, your customers, they don't actually care about you. They care about themselves. And so how do you get them to trust you? How do you get them to say, you know what, this person is an authority, or this person has a really strong product that I feel like I can stand behind? It comes down to trust. And how we build this trust in this space that is so crowded with so many people saying all of these different things is you build this trust by, one, being a person of your word. So if you are very passionate about a topic, like I am very passionate about managers failing their teams, and that is the problem with sales organizations. I am very passionate about that. I talk about that all the time. So people know that I am an authority on that, and they trust my opinion. So they trust when I say, hey, I have this course, or hey, I have this thing I'm doing. They're like, I want to be a part of that because I've built that trust. And what the marketing gurus will tell you on here is, before somebody submits an online form, before they pick up a phone call to call a salesperson, you have to build that trust in the things that you're saying on your website, on social media, everywhere around, so that people know that this is a valuable resource. This is a person, as Nicole said, this is a person who is a thought leader in this industry.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And so that was so good. All right, we're talking about emotional connection. I think I might hit everybody on stage here, but Wesleyne, just talk about how important that emotional connection is. I think Allison just dropped that stat about 85% of our decisions are emotional. How important is that emotional connection?
We have to remember, people buy from people. And so we are humans, and we are buying from other humans. So many times when we show up online or we do things, we leave our personal lives at home, but you don't have to do that. And you do it to your comfort level, right? So maybe you don't want to tell everybody, all about your kids or your family or what you're doing on the weekends. And that's okay. But you can say, I showed up at this meeting yesterday, and these are the things that I experienced, and this is how it impacted the way that we led, and this is how it changed the company, right? So when you really appeal to somebody's emotions, that helps them feel more connected to you. And they're like, oh, this is an actual human. And so if I want to do business with them, I know that I'm not just going to be another number. I'm not going to be another customer. I'm actually a valued part of this ecosystem that this company is touching.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Nicole, anything that you want to add on that emotional connection?
Yes, I'm just thinking about, how do you emotionally connect with your family and your friends? Right? Like, what are the ways that we could connect with the people close to us in our life? It's by listening. I think it's by listening first. We try to listen to them. And when people feel like they're heard, then that's where the connection comes. And I think as companies, we have to think about that with our customers. Wesleyne's absolutely right that people buy from people, even in B2B, and that so much of that is about really taking the time to listen first to your customers and putting yourself in a place where you can and will and take the time to listen across the organization, not just from their sales team and marketing team, but everywhere. Infuse that in, the way that you do business.
Absolutely. So my dear friend, Allison, could you please share with everybody I'm sorry, I bad memory. I told you I'm not a young guy anymore. What's the name of your company?
Felt Marketing.
Felt Marketing. My dear friend, Allison, could you please enlighten everybody? How did you come up with this name? And just talk a little bit about the background. You are the queen of this emotional marketing, if you will. Where did you come up with the name Felt Marketing?
Well, the idea was that we wanted to lead with what you get and what you become, instead of my last name is what it used to be years ago. So we thought the most beloved brands on the planet, they aren't just seen and they aren't just heard, they're felt. There's this emotional connection, and we just went, whoa, that's the name. And we used to be Felt Design Group, but we listened to our customers. They kept calling us Felt Marketing. So we literally changed our name because we heard our customers. And I think back to emotional connection, which also ties in with this, is I encourage manufacturers to be more vulnerable. If you are more vulnerable and show people, hey, we've made mistakes. Hey, we've been in your shoes, then you're going to create that trust faster. And this slide is something that we created a number of years ago. When you're thinking about content and you're thinking, because that's what marketing is, right? It's all about content. It's communication. Your values and their values have to come together. And it's that middle part, that sweet spot. Those are your shared values. So the more that you communicate that and let somebody know, hey, we get you. We are you. And this is how we can help you get to your hero state. That's where the real magic happens.
How do we get to the hero state? I absolutely love it. So, all right, guys, let's do this. We're going to do a little participation next. So who is your soulmate? So whether if somebody wants to come off mute, or I would welcome, encourage, invite, implore you, man, you've got 3 rock star experts on stage here. Drop in the chat box, who is your ideal customer? Who is that soulmate? I'd love to run through a little exercise. Nicole's going to sing for us while we're waiting. But, no, Nicole, you're not. No.
Do, 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 do.
So,
But that's all I got.
Does anybody want to? Now, I know, Wesleyne, you and I have talked about this endlessly. Nicole, we talk about it constantly. Allison, we've talked about like who our soulmate is. Like, we're constantly trying to understand, like, what are their challenges? What are their frustrations? Wesleyne, talk about, like, for you, your team at Transform Sales. I know, like, you're crashing at Ashley's house right now. I'm one of your teammates. Thank you for joining us. How do you tackle this on, like, when you're identifying your soulmates?
So I think one of the biggest keys is that throughout business, for different products that you have different soulmates, because we have in different product lines, there are different people that we're targeting. And so in one of our product lines, our soulmate is a VP of HR, if we're talking about leadership development. In another product line, we're targeting people, the manufacturing companies that are between that $10 to $100 million range, right? And so we have to understand, and we don't think about the company, we think about the human, right? So a VP of HR is typically going to be a woman, probably in around her mid 40s, 50s. A CEO of a manufacturing company is probably going to be a male, probably around the same age, but they have different values. They have different things that they're concerned with. They have different things that are on their minds. So when we think about content that we put out, our newsletters, everything that we do, we always have to think about the human that is going to receive this. And so we really get laser focused on that human, and we think that we're speaking to her or to him or to they or to them, right? Like, we have to really think about that.
Yeah, absolutely love that. And so, hey, I'm Val, my friend Val. I know the quiet introvert. Hi, Val, wave to everybody, will you please? So Val, we had a great time. We jammed out and we created buyer personas she's with the company Monofrax, a wonderful, incredible manufacturer. And Val, when we would meet every other week on site. And like, we started every meeting with your soulmates. And is getting a little loud there. But what we would do is when I would meet Val and her team, we would pull up her soulmates. And like, when we would start our marketing meeting, it was like, all right, what do these 3 need? We had 3 buyer personas. We're like, what do they need today? What challenges are they facing? How can we help them? And I do that with every client. And I just find it so critical. So let's keep the party rolling. So Nicole, this is one of your clients' soulmates. Can you just talk a little bit about the process, how you built this out? I know I have on the next slide, you have a cool, neat little tool, but just talk about this gentleman here.
I can't see your screen, Curt. Am I missing it? Can you guys see it?
I can see it.
Oh, you can't see it? I have your Colorado solar panel.
Oh, yes. Okay. So this is our process for how we do this is we actually like to talk one-on-one with the customers. So we take your top customers, okay, who loves you, is buying from you regularly, think about that Venn diagram, that hedgehog concept, like who is it, what is it that you're offering that the market needs most of all? What is it that you love doing? And, oh man, I totally lost my train of thought. What is it the market needs? What is it that you love doing? And what's going to make you money? That's the Venn diagram, right? So you identify with all of your customers who kind of fits in that little core center of that Venn diagram. And then you reach out to those folks. So we like to interview at least 5 to 7 of your top customers, and we would encourage you to do the same. So find who those top 5 to 7 customers are, and we have a list of questions that we go through with them, and we just, we incentivize them. So we'll offer them, their time is valuable. So we'll offer them, a gift card for their time, 20 to 30 minutes. And we just sit and we literally just have a conversation with them and ask them, just personal questions, where did they go to college? Tell me about your kids, what's a day in the life like for you? And then we talk about their experience with the company. What are the top 3 words you'd use to describe the company? We use that information in their messaging so that the messaging is coming directly from the customers. And so just really having that conversation, it's like, and one of the questions we ask that they really just love is like, what is something that we can do to improve? What can we do better? And I'm telling you, every time we ask that question, it just like opens up this huge can of worms, and they feel so much like respect and validation that you're asking for their input on how you can improve. Like they want, like those customers that just love you, they want to be part of developing those new products and services and refining them with you. They want to be part of that process. So when you let them in and you respect them enough to ask, hey, like, what can we be doing better? They are going to absolutely open up and give you so much information that's just going to help you as an organization really do better, to, innovate and find new ways to develop those products and services.
Absolutely. So so again, going back, so what Nicole's done here, this is a solar panel company, created that ideal buyer persona. She has this cool little worksheet. Any of you guys that have come through our cohorts or gone through our training together, like I have a little worksheet on B2Btail. So again, we've got tools to help you there. Now, Wesleyne, you and I had a great client we worked with last year, and just a wonderful dynamic team. And what's fascinating is a lot of time when you talk to a manufacturer, they're like, well, our clients are all over from 20 to 60 and this and that. And, this was an amazing company, and this was all their customers. Well, I'm not a, ideal researcher or whatever, but when I look at this, there's like 3 guys under the age of 40, there's 1 woman, and every dude is a Caucasian over the age of 50. So I'm like, I'm not a detective, but I kind of think I know who the ideal buyer is. And I'm pointing to this guy in the far left. So like we found him on LinkedIn. So Wesleyne, just talk a little bit. This was our dear friends at Current Safe, and you did an amazing job working with these guys, but just talk about like how you help them tackle their ideal buyer.
So the first thing that we do when we are honing in on this ideal buyer is first we have to define which product line we're actually going to go after, right? Because if you have 5 or 10 different products or services, there could very well be a different buyer persona for each of them. And so once we understood the thing that they really wanted to focus in on, and I guess a little tip that I use is I ask, what is the easiest to sell, or what gives you the biggest margin? Like those are the 2 questions. Which one of those? And sometimes it's not the same thing. And so they had a certification program that they really wanted to tap into. And so we realized that they needed to talk to electricians, right? And so they were talking to managers at electrical companies and things like that. And so we had to put them in that space. A lot of the people that worked within the Current Safe family, they were former electricians. And so they understood that world. And so we had to put them in the buyer seat. We had to make them think as the buyer and not the seller. And once we did that, we were really able to empathize and understand what their actual ideal customer wanted.
Yeah, that's perfect. And again, this gentleman on the left was that home run that Wesleyne identified. And so what did we do? Well, their ideal customers, their soulmates are hanging out on LinkedIn. We go on LinkedIn and you see these arrows, like within seconds, we know where this gentleman went to college. We saw some mutual connections that we had. We saw some of his posts. And by just doing some little intelligence, little customer intelligence, man, we can find out a bunch of information about our dear friend Greg, who's a potential soulmate. And so again, like just going through that process. Now, I'm a big Amazon follower. I love Amazon. And Nicole, we talk about the empty chair and what Amazon does. One of the most customer-centric companies on the planet. Every meeting, they have an empty chair. And then that chair is the customer. And they are constantly asking the customer, hey, customer, what do you need from us today? How can we make your life better? And you just talked about it, a little bit on like the research that you're doing. So again, like, why is that empty chair such a powerful strategy for small manufacturers to take advantage of?
I love it. It's just a reminder. It's like your example earlier, Curt, that you mentioned with Val about how in every meeting, you're leading every meeting with who is our buyer, right? And so by having that empty chair in the room, it's really helping you as a company to really make sure you're focused. It's a reminder, physical like representation, a reminder of, hey, why are we in business? We're in business to serve this customer. Like we're here for them. What are we doing? What decisions do we need to make? And how can we make sure that our decisions are in alignment with what it is that they need right now?
Right. Absolutely. So I'll tell you, Wesleyne, you did a great job really teaching me. This was really powerful because you are the B2B sales guru, is not only understanding the person, really the position, it's understanding the person. Just talk a little bit, we can talk to manufacturers like, oh, I'm targeting engineers. I'm targeting somebody in purchasing. I'm targeting somebody in HR. Can you talk a little bit? Why is it so important to understand the person behind the position?
So I'm just going to give you a great example, and I think it's going to bring it all into people. So Curt probably doesn't know this. However, I'm not like a really big baseball fan. However, I know that my soulmate is into baseball. So when I get on a call with someone and I'm talking about how we're going to develop the sales process, I'm talking about, okay, so what do we have to do to get to first base? Okay. And then what do we want to do if we want to run all the way home? Like what happens if we strike out? I speak their language. So that's why it's so important to understand, like Nicole said, what does that person value? What is important to them? Because if you know that your soulmate is into baseball, you should understand baseball. If you know that they're into hunting, you should understand hunting. Like you have to get to know them beyond what you just see on a professional level. Because again, we're humans. And as humans, yes, we're at work for 8 hours a day, but we have other things that are of interest to us. And if you really want to cut beyond the noise and get beyond just the fluff, you have to understand what that soulmate really values, the things that they strive for, what they think about day to day, what keeps them up at night. Like go deep, really deep below the surface.
Yeah, my heart is just singing right now because you came on our live, as many of you know, we do a LinkedIn live. You came in with Damon and myself. It was during the World Series and you were decked out in Houston Astro garb because your Houston Astros were in the World Series. And I know you did that just for Damon and myself. And you actually, on your sales process, I'm not a sales guy, I'm an e-commerce guy. You going through the training with you broke it down in baseball speak and I fully understood it. And so I couldn't love that analogy more. So Allison, God bless you, my friend. It was COVID. Like we didn't know if there was any business out there. I get a call from you. I'm watching my daughter at the skating rink. You're like, hey, Curt, we've got a brand new client. I'd love for you to work with me. I'm eternally grateful. We had a great time working with this client together. It's a manufacturer out of Miami and they are just rock stars. Love these guys. You did, I thought, an amazing job building up buyer personas for this company. I'm going to run through a couple of slides here with you, but just talk about how you dug deep to understand their buyer.
Well, I think it's a lot like dating, right? So a soulmate in business is much like a soulmate in real life. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, if you're trying to date somebody, something I learned a long time ago is you want to become the person that you want to attract, right? You don't want to, you're like, wow, I'd really like to be with somebody who has a lot of money. They're financially successful and, maybe they enjoy doing this thing and they're educated, but, I've never completed school. I'm terrible with money and I don't like doing anything that's adventurous or outside. How are like Wesleyne was saying, you're not going to attract that person unless you embody some of the same interests and understandings. And so that's what we helped SantaFlow do. They were like, well, we want to reach out to architects. And so we said, Curt and I said, okay, well, is it all architects? Well, yeah. And so anyway, drilling down further, understanding Taylor, and we always give our personas a name so that we can say, okay, what would Taylor think about this particular messaging campaign or this social post? Is this going to resonate with her? And then we also try to understand, well, what is her goal? Well, she's architecting a visual experience, right? Or like Mario, the facilities manager, he's like MacGyver. Like this guy's job is to keep things running smoothly. He's got to know how to do a lot of different things, like with a knife and a piece of twine. Like, so really understanding these things about them and then digging into their goals, their frustrations, their motivations. What brands do they like? You know, that tells you a lot about a person. And where do they hang out on social media? They may not be everywhere. Right. So maybe you don't have to be everywhere either. And I think like what Nicole and Wesleyne have both said, if you understand these, well, let me back up. In order to understand them, you've got to talk to them. Right. So that's the most important thing that most manufacturers I meet are doing wrong, is that they're guessing. Right. They're supposing instead of actually asking. So I just wanted to reinforce what the other two said. Incredibly important to actually ask.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm going to take no credit for these buyer personas, because you absolutely crushed it. And it was just so eye-opening for me. And as I was working with the team on like SEO strategies, our keywords, every meeting, just like we did with Val, I'm pulling up, we had Alan, the architect, Mario, MacGyver, we had Taylor. We're like, what does Taylor need right now? What's Taylor typing on Google to solve her problem? You did an amazing job. So let's talk about this for a second. So like, here's their website. And again, like, do you remember your line? You're like, it felt like they were whispering. Do you remember that with their marketing message? And you came out and this was a brand new landing page. It was phenomenal. A big thing is like, the cleanliness, and boy, this was in the heart of COVID. Was cleanliness for a baby important? So what they do is they manufacture baby changing stations. What's more critical? And I'll tell you, Wesleyne, Allison, you guys taught me something so powerful. It's not just, so let's look at this. Taylor is the Soulmate, but who's the customer, Allison? Who's this little precious piece of cargo that's going on a baby changing station? Just share with everybody, how important is it? And Wesleyne, I'd like you to chime in when Allison's done, but how important is it to understand that customer's customer?
I think it's incredibly important. I like to call it reverse engineering.
Yep.
So who is this going to matter to that you're selling to? Yep. And how are they going to benefit from this? And then reverse engineer so that you can then tie that result into what's in it for your soulmate.
Yeah, absolutely love that. Wesleyne?
Yeah, so we have to remember, in a business to business sale, we're selling to a business that is selling to another business or to a consumer. And so it's like B2B to B or B2B to C, right? So who is at the end of the chain? Like, who is that person that is all the way at the end that is impacting? Because your direct customer is thinking about their customer. So if you can get them on the road to say, oh, I get it. I get that your customer, Bob, needs this or this or that, or this is going to make your boss happy because maybe their customer is internal, maybe their customer is their boss, or maybe their customer, if you're talking to somebody in purchasing, is the group that they are actually working with. So always, as Allison said, ask the questions like, who is going to be impacted by this product? Who is going to need to sign off on this? Who does this hurt? Who does this help? To really get in their minds, and you get their wheels turning and they're like, they get it. And literally, that's what you want your customers to say. You want them to be like, oh, you really get it. You really get me. You completely understand what I'm going through.
Right. And it's just like, looking over it's like your customer feels like they have somebody that has your back. You know what I mean? Like they feel like you have somebody over your shoulder looking over, hey, I've got you, and this was great. So again, take a look at this. I'm letting a couple people in here. So, let me go back a couple. So here, Allison creates Taylor. Okay. Now, what social media platform is Taylor hanging out on? LinkedIn. So now the team at SantaFlow, they're a bunch of millennials. Here they are right here. They're just, man, I love them. They called me Uncle Curt, worked with them on a really intense basis. They're just, these rock stars down in Miami. And I was like, guys, you got to get on LinkedIn. I'm telling, like, our Soulmate, right here, Allison's telling us our Soulmate's on LinkedIn. And they're like, oh, we're on Instagram and we're on this. And Uncle Curt, LinkedIn is for old people. So I kept hounding them to get on LinkedIn. So what they started doing here, every month they do something out in the community. So here they're out and on Miami beaches, they're cleaning the beaches on Earth Day. Here's beautiful Jen. She's like in her pink hard hat and she had heels on that day. Here they're at a homeless shelter. So they're just posting, not selling. They're posting on what they're doing. And here's a note that I get from Jen, the manager of SantaFlow. Hey, Uncle Curt, you're right. LinkedIn works. And their soulmate, basically like that tailor at a university, reaches out and says, hey, we're renovating 3 restrooms. What's the latest and greatest? Could we have a talk? And so, just a very powerful example of just understanding that soulmate. So guys, all 3 of our esteemed panel are doing webinars, live streams, podcasts. Nicole, you just started doing podcasting recently. Just share a little bit of your experience or your takeaway. I know you just interviewed Wesleyne last week. What's your takeaway on podcasting?
I think this is a really wonderful way for you to learn more about your soulmates. So thinking about like, how can you create a live event or a podcast or webinar where you're actually inviting your soulmate to be a guest on your show? And that is such a great way to shine a really bright light on them and all the wonderful work they're doing, but also a great way for you to learn more about what they're dealing with, what their struggles are, what their pain points are. Because it's hard sometimes to pin them down. And so I think this is a really great forum opportunity for you to really build those relationships with your soulmates and really also help them to see you as like, you're really there to help them, support them, shine a bright light on them. So it's just a really wonderful way for you to understand your soulmates better, but also to build trust with them.
Absolutely. And Wesleyne, my dear friend, you just cracked 100 episodes. So, hey, how about a little round of applause for our dear friend Wesleyne? Wesleyne has a wonderful podcast that she does. Just had her 100th episode. Wesleyne, what's been your experience with podcasting?
So podcasting is a labor of love. Just in case somebody wants to start one. It is an absolute labor of love, but really, as Nicole said, you get to really understand your soulmates. And when I talk about this, I call it 3 pillars of prospecting. And so it's educating, it's networking, and it's doing things online digitally, right? And so that education piece is one that people don't really think about that much. But if they hear your voice and they hear all the value that you're bringing them on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, they're like, again, this person is an authority. This person understands the challenges, and this person knows really smart people. They know these really smart people. I want to be one of those really smart people that they know too, right? And so, and even when you can ask your prospects, you can ask your customers to be guests on your podcast. Many of them have probably never, ever done that before. And it is a great honor for them to be on your show. So you can leverage a podcast, live streams, like Curt does a really, really good job with all of his shows and his live streams and his podcasts, really getting people who he's in his network, his customers, his success stories. And again, it's like, I want to be a part of Uncle Curt's world because he's so amazing.
Well, thank you, Wesleyne. And I'm just, oh my gosh, I got to check my pacemaker again. So Allison, DeFord, you've had dude, you've been doing a podcast pre-COVID, which was like 100 years ago. Talk about what podcasting has meant to you, our dear friend Ray Zagano. You have your partner in crime. Great podcast that you have, MFG Out Loud. I've been a guest. Talk about what podcasting has done for you and your business.
I honestly think it's the smartest thing marketing wise that I ever did. Mm-hmm. And I agree with Nicole and Wesleyne when I to be vulnerable and be transparent. When we started the podcast, you feel like it's about you, I think, in the beginning, and like, okay, how am I going to look and what am I going to say? And what you really quickly realize is it is not about you, right? That's that whole wee syndrome again coming into play. It is really about your guests, and it's learning to listen, ask great questions, which of course you and Damon are amazing at. And I think the second part of it is the consistency. You're building familiarity. Familiarity breeds trust. Mm-hmm. So the more consistently that you show up, you're become a thought leader, and you don't have to say, hey, I'm a thought leader, everyone. Just right. You earn it.
Right.
And so I think the listening, the earning, the attention, and the trust, and what you learn from the people that you have on is the greatest gift I've ever been given.
So good. All right, man, I don't know how to even follow that, Allison. So, all right. I'm telling you guys, so as a matter of fact, we're starting to help our clients with live streaming webinars. I'm telling like our new preach, teach is how to out teach the competition. How, instead of out spending and out advertising and out messaging, how do you just out teach? So Nicole, we'll fly through this quickly. This was another buyer persona. And again, we're just trying to get into like how critical it is to really understand that buyer persona. This is a great manufacturer we had the honor privilege working with through, as you guys know, probably almost everybody on here is connected through, one way or another through the MEP network, the Manufacturing Extension Partnerships. And so this was a client that we had the honor and privilege of working with through the Purdue MEP. And so they had a little bit of frustration where consumers were landing on their site. They don't sell to consumers. Nicole, you came in, did an amazing job of trying to open up the door on that B2B side. So what we did is instituted distributors and then the learning center. Talk to everybody. Why is it so important to speak to your soulmate through the learning center?
It just goes all back to trust. Having a learning center on your website where you're educating them through video content, podcasting, blogging, and having a repository there that's a place where your soulmates can go to learn and educate themselves. It's just going to build that trust. And I think we've seen over the past decade, especially, that trust has become harder and harder for businesses to earn. I think it's really hard for people to know what's true and what's not true. And that's only going to, I think, become exacerbated with generative AI. And that's a much bigger topic, but like, it's very difficult right now for people to know what's true and what's not true. And so I think as companies, we have to be thinking about how can we create these learning centers, these places where we can start to build that trust with people, where we're really seen as a good source for them. And so that's what we did here for this amazing entrepreneur, Edward, 100-year legacy of chorizo, selling chorizo and his family. So we built out this learning center for him, and we just really tried to keep it as simple as possible. We interviewed him and we asked him specifically questions that he was hearing all the time from his buyer persona, which was these retail food distributors. And so we identified what were those top questions he was hearing over and over again. And we interviewed him, and he answered all those questions, talking about what the benefits were. So we were trying to speak directly to them and solving those problems for them through this content.
Yeah, and there's multiple things, and I know we're coming into time, so I want to be mindful. And again, I think Noah just joined us. I think Christian joined us. So if you joined us late, encourage you, welcome you, drop your LinkedIn in the chat box. I'd love for everybody to connect here. If you didn't in the early part of the program, drop that in. I'd love for you guys to connect with Allison, with Wesleyne, with Nicole. I'd love to connect with you if we haven't connected. But what happened here was with this learning center, here's a gentleman that there's in Allison, you know as better as well as anybody. This guy, there's no way on God's green earth he's going to sit down and type out a blog. Entrepreneur, as a manufacturer, way too busy. But this guy is third generation. His grandfather founded the company, one of the oldest Mexican-owned manufacturers in the country, and very proud of his legacy. He's been doing this since he was 9 years old. He's 59. So he's been doing it for 50 years. He knows it inside and out. So Nicole does an amazing job, does this great interview. Now he talks about his expertise. We take the transcription, and if you guys have gone through our cohort, you know to use Otter, our free tool, gets this transcription, and now Nicole creates this juicy, meaty, see what I did there, Wesleyne, this meaty blog post about chorizo. And she just really rocked it. The client was thrilled. And so it's just, how do you be as efficient with your time? And again, it's all in the spirit of building that trust. Allison, we're going to start heading home here. Talk a little bit about like the old system, new system. I have one more slide that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to wrap up. So just talk about this real quick, please.
Yeah, well, we look at with manufacturers, a lot of you have been doing this for so long, and you're used to the old way of doing it, which was slow. It was expensive, and it was hard to measure. And I feel like today's marketing is a lot more, or can be a lot more automated. There are a lot more options, and it's much faster, it's much more affordable, and it's measurable. So I think it can be overwhelming sometimes to think, okay, well, we've been marketing, we understand we should be doing more digitally, but we don't know where to start. And I always tell people, which is what this whole thing is about today, just start with the customer, right? And then you'll figure out what the spokes should be so that you can connect with them where they are and do a bit of that reverse engineering rather than getting overwhelmed with tactics.
Absolutely love it. And then, man, this tool here, when you get, guys, if you work with Allison, again, we've got Allison, Wesleyne, Nicole here. You work with these guys, they're going to take you to a whole new orbit. But I found this such a powerful exercise. Allison, can you just share with everybody what's going on with this slide as far as customer touch points?
Sure. Well, we spent about 10 years creating this periodic table of customer touch points because we wanted to speak to our customers in a way that made sense to them, a more scientific way, right? And in thinking about the chemistry of connection, using chemistry in the periodic table just made sense. So once you've figured out who your ideal customers are, and you've built the personas, and you've spoken to them, obviously, and you understand them, then you want to take a look at, well, where do we start connecting with them? So this is just a way that we laid out the, 8 or 9 different areas. So you've got identity, you can reach them through print, mobile, online, social, conference, media, and location in person. And so in each of these categories, what are the different touch points? And you can really kind of measure yourself and say, where are we already active? Fill them in. Where are we optimized, right? We're active and it's working well. And then how many touch points are actually dormant? And why are they dormant? Could we be showing up there? So it's a really helpful exercise with our clients where they do this themselves and they see for themselves instead of us saying, you could be here, 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 and here. Why aren't you? They have the conversation and everybody looks at each other and they go, whoa, we could be here and here and here. Why aren't we? So it's really fun.
Very powerful. So, and again, if you want to learn more, contact Allison. So guys, let's take it home. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. We're coming in.
Allison, you just made my whole month. I mean, that's just,
right.
Like, I'm smiling. I'm like, oh my gosh, is that actually a periodic table?
I will share it with you, my dear.
Oh, thank you. I love it.
All right. So guys, as we take it home, first off, how about, could everybody give a round of applause? If you're sitting, if you want, a good time to stretch, why don't you stand up and give a huge, huge round of applause for our esteemed panel. We've got Wesleyne, Nicole, Allison, and just, I have no poker face. The love, the respect, the admiration I have for these three, off the charts. What you guys have done for me through COVID. I don't know if I could have gotten through COVID without you three. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Wesleyne, you put out this post this morning. Nicole, I thought this totally hit home for a conversation you and I had this week. Wesleyne, how can people find you? I've got your email here, LinkedIn. Take us home. What was this message today?
So often we're worried about the output that it prevents us from even getting started. So you're so scared that you're going to be rejected. You're so scared that you're going to do something wrong, that you're going to break something. But what you have to do is you have to remember that it just takes one step. And so what if you fail? So what if somebody says, I don't like it? So what if they unsubscribe? That doesn't matter. What matters is you take one step forward each and every day. Each and every day, it's about getting 1% better. So ask yourself, when you sit down at your desk in the morning, how am I going to get 1% better today? What can I do differently than I did yesterday? And it doesn't have to be a whole change, like looking at the whole periodic table and saying, I'm going to do all 5,000 things. I'm just going to do this one thing. And so really, you have to remember that failing is okay because it teaches you what not to do the next time, and focus on how you want to take the next step and continue to succeed.
Moment of silence right there. John Baglino, we're taking a moment of silence for Wesleyne, dropping Wesleyne wisdom. Guys, you want to absolutely follow Wesleyne. She just posts daily on LinkedIn, videos, messages, inspiration. She's a strong woman of faith. She's an amazing mother of 2 growing boys. And boy, if you need inspiration, you need a little pick me up, please, please, please follow my dear friend Wesleyne. Allison, the manufacturing master, my sister. How are you? Take us home. Any thoughts connecting with you? I've got your email here. Take us home for today.
Well, it's hard to follow Wesleyne. I think she's exactly right. And I'll use a baseball metaphor just for her and you.
Nice.
But right, how many times do you have to go up to the plate if you want to hit a home run? You're gonna strike out. You're going to have some failures. You're gonna have unsubscribes, and that is okay. So I think the worst mistake you can make is to allow yourself to stay frozen in that overwhelmed state and to do nothing, or to keep doing what you've always done. So please stop assuming, start asking, really get to know your ideal soulmate, and then be of great service to them. That's the sustainable business model.
Another moment of silence. We're just gonna savor that for a minute. Words of wisdom from Allison. Nicole, my dear friend, you put out this wonderful post. And so Nicole, I love, she has a picture of her and her dad. She lost her dad during COVID. And this just warms my heart whenever I see this. She did a little rebranding, and this is her new brand right here. Nicole, take us home. Any words of wisdom for our folks here today?
I would just add to what Allison said about just pick up the phone and talk to your customers. You know, just take that one step, that 1%, and just really reach out and try to listen to them and try to really understand what it is that they need. And I just love everything Allison just said. So I just want to repeat it. Like, that is the key to a sustainable business, is listening to your customers and acting on it, and just really being focused, laser focused on that. So I'm going to leave it with Allison. She just brought it home in a wonderful way. So I'm going to second everything she just said.
Awesome. So I think that's all right. I'm going to stop sharing. So guys, I know I think I'm 1 minute over. So Allison, we just almost made it. So, all right, guys, I want to thank you, everybody. I'm going to stick around for a couple minutes. If there's any questions, I want to be mindful if you have whatever time zone you're in. I know we had Nigel's across the pond in Wales. We had Stacy in Alaska, and we've got, I think, every time zone in between here. We've got Central, Eastern. I think somebody in Mountain. Do we got any Mountain? Anyway, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. This was just a great jam session. This was a big deal for me, getting Wesleyne, Nicole, Allison on stage all together. Guys, do you have any questions before we wind down and shut it down for today? Any questions that you guys want to ask? We've got my dear friend Noah here from Portland. Hey, Noah, how are you, dude?
So I couldn't get here. I missed the meat of the presentation, but
hey, okay. So you might have to make some connections with a couple of people on stage here with Noah. And so Noah, thank you for joining us. Noah's an e-commerce partner of ours, e-commerce guru, does amazing, incredible projects, works with manufacturers. We've got Robin here from TAC. Love connecting our manufacturers with TAC. I've got Melinda, Amanda. They're out in Illinois. We've got Andrew, Doug, Ashley, Diane. Oh, Diane's here from TAC. I didn't see Diane's here. Diane's here from TAC. Ashley. All right. Any questions, guys, before we wrap up and wind down for today? If not, how about one more round of applause for our esteemed panel? Boy, did they just crush it or what? I have the recording. I'll be sending this out to everybody that signed up. If you guys want that. Again, Allison's newsletter, you have to connect with her newsletter. Follow Wesleyne on LinkedIn, follow Nicole on LinkedIn. And guys, God bless everybody. I appreciate you. And don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. And we'll see you. We're doing jam sessions every month. We'll see you at the next jam session.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Wesleyne. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for joining. Nigel, thank you, dude.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Hey, I'm so rooting for Wales, man. We'll figure it. We'll figure it out. So
yeah, it's always next year.
Always next year. That's right. Well, the World Cup's this year, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the World Cup.
I don't think we've got a good enough team to for the next year or so. There's too many old people in there, and they haven't brought the youngsters in properly. And it'll probably take about 2 years before we start rising the on the trophies again.
Oh boy! All right.
Oh, but it happens. England are going through a similar thing. Scotland and Ireland are doing well at the moment.
All right. Well, it's probably hard to root for them. So, Melinda, Andrew.
LOD, this is Ashley.
Ashley, how are you? Happy Tuesday.
Take care. All the best.
Find your card.
Nigel, thank you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you, dude. Ashley, any questions on
Find
your
good help these days.
What's that? What was that, Ashley?
Okay, I am ready for the card number.
Okay. All right. Any questions before Mark? Great to see you, dude.
You know, I'm glad to be back, Curt. That's all I wanted to say. I tried to turn a side hustle into a business.
Okay, expiration date.
Go well. And I'm just glad to be back. So I'm going to be looking at two job opportunities, both with, servicing the manufacturer world. So awesome. I'll be jumping on your webinars again.
All right, brother. Well, I've missed you, dude. So I'm glad to have you back.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Awesome. Andrew, how are you, man? Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, it's great. I'm well. I just wanted to say hi. And we have baseball on the radio and on the television. I was standing in my living room this weekend just watching this green grass and hearing the sounds. That Cardinals got a new play-by-play man on the TV side. We got Chip Carey. So
nice.
We're good.
Good for you. And now big change in baseball. Now they're timing the at-bats. Did you see that?
I wish they wouldn't put people who don't like baseball in charge of baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been to a baseball game and said, boy, I wish I could get out of here quicker.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that funny? And I saw Manny.
I'm curmudgeonly like that.
I don't know if you saw Manny. He had it. I think he had like a game-winning hit, and they took it away from him in the practice game on Friday. So San Diego Padres were playing the Mariners, and he hit a single, but the umpire called him out on third strike because he took too long. So, but yeah. I thought that was
all for, I don't know. There's the Cardinals specifically. They've got a couple of guys in the bullpen that are slow as molasses, like human rain delays.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. I get that.
Yeah.
But to have anything in the ninth inning where it comes down to something like that, where you have an actual game called because a guy's standing outside at a foot outside the box with 9 seconds, or 7 seconds, the clock's at 8. This is dumb. So
crazy.
Anyway,
any questions, any takeaways for any feedback from today? What'd you think?
No, it was good. I'm trying to get my sales guys. They're having issues with, we don't want to sit down and talk to our customers about what kind of customers we need. It feels weird to them. So I think what we're going to do, and we'd had this conversation separately and kind of today hammered it at home, I'm going to do some sort of feedback survey that gets the answers we want without our sales guys having to in person say, well, tell us about yourself, so to find that perfect person is on the list. My keyword search continues. I had a meeting with HubSpot yesterday. They're interested in obviously trying to sell us something. So I don't know.
Right. So Nicole, who was on stage today, she's a HubSpot expert. And if you have any questions about HubSpot,
I should have asked something about that. I didn't think about it.
She'd be more than happy to answer any questions for you regarding HubSpot.
Yeah.
If you want, I could drop her a note or, drop me a note or whatever, but that's her expertise. And I'll tell you one thing that I've been suggesting, and I had a guy send a really nice note. He's like in the consulting world, totally like in construction space here. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop recording.
That's fine.